Hello, friends, family, and listeners. Welcome back to Everything is Traumatic. This week's episode, Jeff explains to me, Tyler, something about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a motivational theory in psychology comprising a five-tier model of human needs, often depicted as hierarchical levels within a pyramid. And that kind of just leads us into talking about kind of like the current times we're in, some of the unprecedented stuff. I don't think anyone's really having a good time out there, but hopefully this episode can bring you some peace and help you, I don't know, come to terms and try to be present in the moment with things. So sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 51 of Everything is Traumatic.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm a therapist.
And I'm Tyler, and I'm a patient.
We're going to talk about trauma, healing, and everything. Everything is traumatic. So, are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No, I'm not. What is that?
Really?
Yes, I'm dead serious.
This is something I think you'll like. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a little pyramid, and it starts it starts at the bottom, and so it's like what kind of needs we have. And so at the bottom are more primitive needs like shelter, food, safety, warmth, those kind of things. And it moves up, and like so it's like safety and shelter, you need food, shelter, then like love, like good relationships. It moves up, and then the top triangle is where you become I'm gonna look it up so I don't like totally butcher it, but um self-actualization.
like more of your like internal needs and wants. Because it
Well,
sounds like
yes.
okay.
So at the bottom is physiological,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like safety, and this is going up, so the bigger pieces are at the bottom,
Mm.
and it goes up, it gets smaller.
Right.
Physiological, safety, belonging and love, esteem, cognitive, aesthetic. Then towards the top is self-actualization, and the very top is transcendence.
Oh,
And so,
okay.
like, self-actualization is doing something for just for the pleasure of it. So I'm going to play guitar just because I want to play guitar,
Mm.
not because I'm getting paid to do it, not because, whatever. I love to play guitar, or I love to go out and sit and watch the birds or whatever. So as a privileged white male, I have my lower needs met. And so it frees up, I think, energy to sometimes worry about things that are out of one's control, or really don't need to be focused on every day. But I think it's almost like a piece of privilege where you're just like, okay, so I don't have to go out and hunt and like make sure I have a tent and a fire. If you did those things, have those things, that would be where all your energy was focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And so until you got your little fire and your shelter and your squirrel, and you began to eat, and then you had like your person with you, and they were your friend, and then you could like have love and affection and attention. Those things are always going to take priority until you get the next level up.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You have it. Yes, yes. When you have to focus on your survival, that's like what your entire world becomes. So
Yes,
you don't get to
yes,
think deeper. You don't get to explore these like deeper needs. So I get what you're saying there. Like when you're in a state of survival. So,
yep.
but you could
So
continue.
yeah, so anyway, so I feel like there are crises out there that are more, for example, if you are a trans person right now, your fears are different than being a white male, because there are people that want you not to exist. There are people that are trying to make it very difficult for you to be around.
Mm,
And it feels like certain political choices may take you one way or the other, or may put you in more danger to the point where people are like planning, I need to get out of the state or I need to get out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't have to get out of the country or the state because again, am probably not going to be personally affected by certain things that might change in a political change. Um, but people I care about would be affected. But anyway, so I feel like it's almost a place of privilege, and there's a lot of people, and I'm not trying to put down anybody. These concerns are legitimate, but there are people that are just struggling to like pay their rent, take care of their children. And so, not that they don't have these fears or these anxieties, but they don't really have the space because that's where their energy is. Their energy is just surviving.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going to say that it's not okay to have existential dread or existential feelings, but I think it's important to put it into perspective that some of that is meaning that you have some of your lower needs met, that you have the energy to do that. And so I'm
Right.
trying to keep that balance between, yes, it's good to be aware, it's good to think, it's okay to have some anxiety, but it can be debilitating. And I think a lot of people are really stressed because of the way media handles things and the way we have a 24-hour news cycle and we have social
Mm-hmm.
media and we have lots of what ifs. Um, what if this happens? What if this happens? Then this could happen, and then this is going to happen. And one of my coworkers told me that somebody told her we have what ifs and what is, and what is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
What ifs are what might happen, and so we have to decide how much time and attention we give to what ifs. That doesn't mean don't prepare. It doesn't mean don't vote, doesn't mean don't advocate. It just means don't miss the what is for the what ifs.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good, uh, I thought that was a decent way to look at trying to be mindful.
Mm.
Don't let the what ifs destroy your current what if, what is kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, there's a lot of people that are just operating on different levels mentally as far as like what they can put their energy to as far as focusing on either surviving or their mental health. And it's like there's not that balance anymore to where you could do both because like you said, because people are struggling to pay their rent and the prices like just it seems like continue to get higher,
Yes.
that you have to put your energy into one basket now instead of like filling all your little baskets or cups. Cups is a better metaphor. You
Yes.
now have to pour solely into the cup of survival, which means fuck my mental health. I have to.
Yeah.
I can't focus on that. Like regardless of how I'm feeling, and I've met so many. There's so many people in my life. I'm sure your life and everyone's life where like that's their mentality because that's what they can focus on, and
Yeah.
we're really
Yes.
we're built to have it all balanced. Like we're not meant to just solely focus on hunting all day. Hell, that's why we had hunters and gatherers.
Yes. Yes. I'm more of a gatherer, less of a hunter.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
we have big gatherer energy this whole podcast and everything.
we are very, very good at the gathering. I, so like I feel like this might take a little bit of direction. I feel like the way I look at the world is different. And so like I'm really getting into the idea of all living things have value and that nature is very healing and beautiful. Um, trying to respect all creatures and people and realize that people, even people that might be people we don't like, or people that might do things that frustrate us are also people and have a story and, that kind of thing. So it's like, I feel like my philosophy is changing, but I also still feel like that's a privileged philosophy because I can do that.
Mm,
I'm choosing right now not to eat most meats
mm,
because I feel like I have some concerns about the animals, the way they're done. But that's also a very privileged thought because it's expensive to not eat those things. Um, Sometimes because you got to plan, but so not everybody can do that. It's just like telling a cat that I'm going to make you a vegan. Cats have to have meat.
mm,
They have to have meat or they'll die. And so like trying to tell people like don't eat this or why would you eat like in some places they eat guinea pigs. It's like don't tell people they can't eat a guinea pig because it's a pet. It's what they can eat. It's what they can get. And um so I don't like push my philosophy on anybody else, but I do feel like my brain is sort of changing to this kind of nature is connected, everything is connected. We're all in the same boat,
mm,
regardless of where we are. Well, we're all on this earth, and so if something bad happens to the earth, it affects all of us.
mm.
Some, might have underground bunkers or whatever to hide from it, but I mean, it's an ecosystem. We're a microbiome. All of
Yeah.
us are.
And I just, yeah, I feel like you have just like a lot of guilt for being able to kind of do these things, and like you're able to think on those other levels. And like I I feel like I make enough to get by and like
Yeah,
take care of like me and Sandy, and like it's great. It does feel like surviving, but I'm also like using the additional funds that I have to kind of better my mental health. And like I sometimes do feel guilty for that, like because there's a lot of people that can't. And I feel, I feel a lot of like gratitude for like where I'm at currently. And like I'm
mm,
not far. I mean, I have a small little like trailer apartment thing I can live in, and we have food, and that's great.
yeah, yeah,
And it would be great to try to give back to the community in some way.
yeah. Well, I
Um,
feel like, there's all kinds of ways to do that. And I think there is some white guilt, but I don't feel it as strongly as I used to. I feel like if you do have privilege, you should use that privilege to help people that don't. And so it's like,
mm,
you going to counseling to me it's for you, but it also is good and healthy. And you talk about it, so it opens the idea to other people, it demystifies it. And so it is good for you, but I feel like it's also just good. It's about putting positive things out there. It's about putting gratitude out there. Um, and I think those things are important.
yeah.
Um, we can be upset about a system. We can try to fix a system. I think there are civil disobedience ways to go after systems, but also trying to be grateful for everybody is at these extremes right now. It's like America's the worst country in the world. America's the best country. This candidate is the best. This candidate is the worst. If this candidate gets elected, this happens. And I don't know. I feel like it's almost like it's got to be a football game. We've got to keep it exciting. We've got to make sure that everybody thinks that it could go either way at any time. And if one thing happens, the world will fall apart.
Mm.
And maybe that happens. I mean, maybe there's a revolution. I mean, I don't know, but I don't. I think sometimes the truth is sort of somewhere in between, um, where we want to look at worst case scenarios and then work ourselves up to those. But maybe it won't be as bad as people think one way or the other. I don't know. I mean, and maybe that's me trying to sort of calm myself.
I mean, I I am not sure. I don't know. I think a lot of people are getting kind of sick of the system, and the system is working exactly how it's supposed to, and that's why there is the problem. So
Yeah.
uh there's got to be some sort of change, and not, I don't know, see,
And maybe
because
this is what we need for change. Maybe to have change, there has to be some kind of disruption. There has to be some kind of people being fed up enough to actually do something different. And I'm not talking about, I mean, whether you, this sounds sort of nihilistic, but whether you vote one party or the other party, the United States is going to sort of work like it does. I mean, individually, there's going to be different policies and stuff, but it's not going to change who has the money. It's not going to change who has the power.
no.
Neither side, both sides have the power and the money. So it's not
Yes.
like one side is like going to fix all the problems or make all the problems. The problems are sort of like there's lots of problems that are going to have to be fixed, and in some way that might be something extreme. And I don't know what that means. I don't think there'll be like an armed revolution. I could see there being possibly what you see in France all the time, where America finally gets tired and just like
Oh,
all the truck
dude.
drivers get out of the trucks and like just let everything rot
Wouldn't that
until
be
something
fucking
changes.
great? Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. We need to take a fucking playbook out of the French on this one.
Everybody always
Like,
comes down on the French, right, saying they're cowards, but they know how to protest. They just
God, they
shut the
do.
fuck,
They
they shut
throw a
the
ruckus.
country down, right? They
Yeah,
just
they
shut it
do.
down.
They
It's like we're
fucking
done.
get down. And it's like over little shit. It's like, we're gonna raise the retirement age by like two
Yeah.
years, and they're like, "Sacre bleu! What the fuck? No way! How dare you? How dare you? There's
But
no way."
that's why I was sort of empowered by the marches that we've seen, where they have huge marches and there has been destruction of property and things like that. I feel like that's the kind of thing that if you're going to have more people, and I'm not calling for violence against people, but I think you're going to have to have discomfort. There's going to have to be things that are unpleasant for things to change because, again, both sides have their pros and cons, but they are part of a system which is sort of broken now. It worked for a while, and now I think it's out of control and broken. And so it's like we can't keep doing the same thing that we've been doing.
Mhm.
It's getting untenable for everybody.
Yeah, because it's becoming less and less about left wing and right wing, and it's more about what I feel like is a lot of these bigger businesses and corporations versus the working people, which is like us. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, especially when you have fucking corporations like BlackRock buying up houses to where they're
yeah.
going to own every fucking house, and they can make the rent whatever they want. And
Yes.
it seems like the plan is just to move people out to rural areas until that gets overcrowded, and then everything is just a new Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge or what the fuck
Right.
ever, until
And
we're
you
all
see
just kind
people
of dead.
doing stuff that is, I guess, civil disobedience, squatting in places, living in their cars, doing things like this, and it's just like people are. I'm not saying those are okay, but it's like this is what happens when people don't have places to live. They try to figure out how to survive, and then we like, oh, you can't have your tents here. Well, it's like, well, I have nowhere to live.
Hmm.
So what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go?
And that's the
You
thing.
know,
So, and I think this plays on a deeper psyche as maybe us as either as Americans or as just humans, but we have a tendency to wince and like not want to look and see someone crying or in like active
Yes.
struggle.
Yes. We
And
we don't want to see it, so we
we don't,
hide it. Let's get
yes,
rid of it so I don't have to look at
we send it to California, and then California sends it to fucking Idaho, and then Idaho fucking
it.
sends it to Oregon, and then Oregon sends it back to California, and then they're like, "Fuck it, it's now illegal." You get the
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, you've got two Americas. I think you've got the let's talk about generalities America, and then you've got America, and these are very broad strokes, but like, I had a friend that lost her partner recently, and there are people that I know are one side or the other very strongly, but they come together and help her. And so it's like she's got a GoFundMe that's getting funded. People at work that disagree with her politically and they know they're different, they're helping her. So it's like you've got this idealistic kind of I'm this, I'm that, I'm against this, I'm against that. But then you've got sometimes when people are struggling, people come together and help. And
Mhm.
so you've got these two different things, which I think are one is an ideological, dogmatic viewpoint, and then one is a just how do you deal with normal life.
Yeah.
I think that there are people that would hurt people or call people names or whatever, but I think there are a majority of people would help somebody if they needed help. And I think that's that weird kind of thing because it's like we have we're not that different at the core. We just want most people want those things. You want safety, shelter, you want to be able to take care of your family, you want to be able to, have some fun, you want to be able to do some things that are not just work. I think
Mhm.
most people are there,
Yeah.
and so it's like we can yell at each other about these things, these dogmatic ideas, but when it comes down to it, when people talk, they are able to sort of find some commonalities. There are extremes to that. There are people that will hurt people and their cuts of difference or whatever.
Yeah.
But most people, can sit down and have a conversation.
Mhm.
And if you need help, they'll help you. Oh, you need $10? I'll give you $10. People give money to the people that are panhandling all the time. And I think some of that's guilt. But also I see people that will bring, like I've seen people like bring water and stuff. So it's like somebody's sitting there and then somebody will just take 3 or 4 waters and hand it to them on a hot day. And it's just like, okay, that doesn't fix the problem, but that treats that person like a human for a moment.
Yeah. And that's well, and like when you're when your politics or your ideologies become like intertwined with your moralities is when like that's
Yes.
the issue. And like when you feel like your ideologies and moralities are like the status quo. So
Yeah.
because
And then we also,
people get that in their head, and therefore they need to spread it to everyone else, and it's like
yes.
you're if you want to believe in that, do that, but don't force it on
Yeah.
anyone else, because not everyone wants your fucking doom and gloom.
Right. And we live in these echo chambers too, where we surround ourselves with people that think
Yes.
exactly like us. And so it feels normal, and so like I grew up in a very strict Christian environment, but most of those people, there are bad people, of course,
Mm-hmm.
in every system. But most of those people, even though they had some extreme beliefs, they were good people and nice people, and they would help you. They wouldn't question helping somebody. And so it's like this, but they're also doing harm with some of the stuff. And it's like,
Yes.
it, but I think that's both sides. And people want to say, well, there's like one good side and one bad side. I think there's both sides have problems and both extremes really have problems. And it's that extremism that I think causes the most problems, whatever it
Yes.
is, whatever kind of extremism it is, and dogmaticness. And um, yeah, I don't know why we don't do the France thing. It's probably because we're too spread out.
Well, yeah, we need to bring back the guillotine. Like if we we could really just get a message across.
So somebody told me that we're the longest existing democracy.
Mm.
because like France has had a revolution since we did. And when we got our independence from Britain, they were under a monarchy.
Mm.
So it's like something is happening, and I don't know what it is, but I think younger folks are getting tired of the way things are, and they're going to break some things. And I don't mean that necessarily that they will really break things, but they may. I feel like you know, you weren't born in the 70s. I was
Mm-mm.
born in 68, but I was too young. But the 70s were a tumultuous time. The 60s and 70s, a lot of shit was going down.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of stuff happening and a lot of protest and a lot of aggression and violence, both physical and just the way things were handled.
Mm-hmm.
And some things got a little bit better for a while. Women got to have credit cards on their own, you
Yeah, they were
know?
tough times, but then we gave women credit cards, and
Yeah, now look what's happened.
the future looked just a little bit bright. Like,
But I mean, and in the 60s was the civil rights stuff, which again is
mm-hmm.
not fixed, but there was a lot of violence there, a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of violence, mainly towards the peaceful protesters. But there were also thoughts of let's become militant and let's go a different direction. And so that seems so long ago, but it's really not that long,
No,
50, 60 years.
no, and I mean, like, it's because, like, well, not because, but like, just like thinking out loud, like, 60s and 70s had very like progressive cultural shifts. And I mean, I think every decade does. So that's why there is always this um, turmoil and stress. Like these things are always going to be happening because the culture is always going to be evolving. Like and that's the thing, whether people like it or not, like this is how humans evolve. Like we realize
Yeah,
things in the past, like, ooh, we handled that badly, or like that's not a social norm anymore. Like we don't do
right.
that. So, and you have people that are like, well, when the hell did we stop doing that? That's not fucking cool. I like doing that.
Listen,
Back
in
in
my
my
day,
day.
they put leeches on you when you were sick, and it didn't hurt nobody.
Yeah.
Where are the leeches?
We
Bring the
used
leeches back.
we
Leeches
used
never hurt nobody.
we used to just do a little coke about it. Like that's how we cured things. Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. When you think of things in a history of the world, it's like, okay, we'll figure it out, maybe, or we'll cease to exist, maybe, one of the two, or maybe somewhere in between. But when you're right in it, it seems to be moving so slow.
yeah, because
But I
progress.
mean,
Well, progress isn't a linear thing. You taught me
yeah,
that.
I taught you that.
You taught me that, Jeff. You taught me that process isn't a linear thing. And like, I don't think the question is like, oh, we may figure it out. I think it's more, hey, we can figure it out. Okay, like
We can figure it
there's a
out.
camp of us that are super smart and intuitive and can figure it out, but we got another camp that are a bunch of fucking assholes and are going to
Right.
be kicking and screaming into the chambers of fucking progress. So that's
You
why
know,
it's so slow, and it's a forever changing thing.
the things I worry is like it doesn't. Whoever runs the country following this next election, we can't stop. Like one group can say, "Oh, well, we got our purses, so now we can relax." That doesn't change. Whoever wins, we still have to do the stuff in the trenches. We still have to take care of ourselves. We still have to take care of our neighbors. We still have to try to learn and create art. And that's my fear is that like you fight so hard and you're like, oh, okay, so that we won. Now we can go back to not worrying because the federal government ain't going to fix it for us. They have
Mm-mm.
solutions to certain things, but we're still going to have to do things.
Yeah,
And I think
the
that's the problem is putting too much on this or that, you know, then it's like, okay, so we don't have to worry about this because our person won and we can relax and go away for 4 years and then worry about it again. We still have to do work. We got a lot of work to do, like individually in the trenches of just our own lives and our the people around us lives.
hmm and I feel like a lot of people have that in mind, but I think they have it in mind for different reasons. Um like I think people have like the it's not done after the whoever wins is in office. Like I think there's going to be an agenda pushed on either side and we need to
Yeah.
be very vigilant of it and just be aware. I don't know, like you got to like you said, it doesn't stop here. Like it's
Because I think
not.
there are certain things that America is going to do no matter who the president is. America has mechanisms working that probably don't really matter who the president is.
Mhm.
There are things that are just doing that are happening. And so again, things will change depending on who's elected, but that doesn't solve or create all the problems. It
Mhm.
might create or solve some problems, but I think we get too focused on the it's like if we want our team to win. And
Mhm.
then it's like, all right, we won the Super Bowl. Now we can wait till next Super Bowl. And then you relax. And it's like, it's not really time to relax. It's time to continue to do things and
Mhm.
continue to act.
It's to continue to progress.
Yeah.
To go
So I
forward.
think the thing for me, my anxiety is it feels like a ball in the pit of my stomach. Feels
Mhm.
like just my stomach hurts. And it's like and then I just want to think about it all the time. And so like what I've done practically is like I've cut out most of my social media. I'm trying to be on my devices more because what I found was nobody knows what's going to happen. And then people just talk it and they talk it and they talk it and then they just swirl.
Mhm.
And it's just like, and you can just go down a rabbit hole and find so much. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And it's just like, maybe, but it didn't, it just made me feel bad. And so, like, I'm trying to do that, but I'm also trying to reconnect with nature and sort of just be in the moment and like enjoy things as they're happening.
Yeah, and I think that's something I've also been doing. Is just trying to be more present in my life and just like there a lot of this stuff regardless, it's a lot of it is out of our control, but also there is a lot that is in our control and there's a lot that we can do. And I think it's great to balance out not being on social media a lot and not seeing all the shit all the time is a good thing. It's also
Yeah.
good but if you're someone like me who wants to stay informed, take it in doses. Like that's what I best thing I can recommend. Like you can do a roundup at the end of the week or you can
Yeah.
catch it
Yeah.
once or but
Yeah.
don't hyper fixate on it. Like don't.
You know, I am redoing my will because I've had some people that I know that have passed away and it needs to be redone. So I signed my first will 25 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
And those 25 years have gone by like a snap. And so I think of all the things I worried about over those 25 years, all the things that I spent time focusing on. And I don't think almost anything that I worried about either it didn't happen or it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I worried about a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of time worrying, and it's just like, man, that's a lot of. I mean, here we are, and I'm afraid that if I don't focus on the here and now, it'll be another 25 years gone. And you just wish time away. Like I wish I knew what was going to happen in November. I wish this was happening. I wish I had this. Like when I was a kid, it was always like, I wish I could drive. I wish I could drink. I wish I could, I wish I had a job. And it's just like you wish those things, and then they're there. And now it's like I wish I didn't have a job.
Yeah, I
I
wish I
wish I
didn't.
didn't
Yeah.
have to have a job or drive.
I wish I didn't have to grow up.
Yeah, yeah. There was something beautiful about summers for me as a child because it felt like just a time of freedom.
Hmm.
We just there wasn't a really anything set. I went to camp every now and then, but it was just like you just did stuff. What are we
Yeah.
gonna do today? Seemed like you were living in that now.
Yes.
What am I gonna do with my friends today? What am I gonna get into today?
Mm. Yeah. I just, it's, and we kind of talked about this the last episode with being mindful, but I mean, being present really helps. It really helps. Like, it just helps. It just helps. Once you're like really active in your life and you're not thinking about what ifs or you're not thinking about like, I wish I could change this. I don't know. You start to just appreciate things more and have more gratitude and I mean maybe that's just me. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe
No, I
that's
think you're right. I mean, people have things happening.
mm,
I mean, so it's like there are times when you're going to be very, very depressed or very, very sad or something bad happens and you need money and you can't pay your bills. And so there are major crises that people are going through every day. And I think it's just trying to ask for support and help during those crises. I think that's something that's hard for people to do is to accept the niceties of others because people feel like they don't deserve it or whatever. And it's just like people love that shit.
mm,
People really, people love to do nice things for people. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's sort of like takes us out of our own brain. It's like, oh, this person needs something. I can fix a casserole and take it to them because they need food and I can solve a problem. And it's just like, I have a task. And you sort of get out of your little, whatever our rituals are, like habits. And it's you do something and they're like, I really needed that. And it's just like, that feels good. Um, so I feel like I don't know what I'm trying to say. I
I,
mean, gratitude, I think, is so important towards the things that you have,
mm,
and then also trying to help share that with other people. If you can help anybody, it doesn't have to be money, just reaching out and talking to people,
mm,
like sometimes a friend will reach out and to say, hey, I just wanted to check on you. And it's just like, that's really nice. I
mm.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's and that's something I'm actively trying to work on is just reach out to people more and just talk to them and like see how they're doing and like I don't know actively check in instead of like wanting something from them more of
Yeah.
just like
Hey. Yeah. That every time you call, they're like, okay, what do they need?
right I would much rather just like I don't know I want to try to connect I feel I want to connect with people I feel like I'm afraid to connect but also I desperately want to connect. There are some people I don't even care about impressing that I want to impress, and I don't know why. I'm a people pleaser. You know, it all sucks. But, Jeff, I think this has kind of reached its logical conclusion. Well, we got another postcard,
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, we got
Speaking
another.
of things to worry about.
Yeah, speaking of, well, no, this one was good. This one is a nice postcard. It says Dinosaur Land on the front with a little dinosaur on there. Looks like another postcard from Vinwin, one of our
Okay.
longtime listeners. He's been sending us in postcards. He's been doing it via email. He's been emailing us at everythingistraumatic@gmail.com. If you want to write us, write us. We'd love to hear from any of our listeners. But Vin here, he has written, this looks like this was stamped June 27th. So this is kind of got to us a little late, or I looked at it a little late. I don't know. But dearest Jeff and Tyler, as the way of the dinosaur has gone, so must I. But to be remembered and preserved through your podcast will cast this fossil into the realm of history. I tried my best to encourage others to send you emails, and I utterly failed. That is a truly traumatic thing. I wish you both the best, and as you continue your own journeys, I pray you will find that it was truly all about the journey, and that the destination is, as they say, the icing on the pie. Okay, maybe that is not what they say, but next time you have pie, put some icing on it, and then you'll see what I mean. Traumatically yours, Vin Win.
I see.
Icing.
I wonder if these are code words.
You think they're code words?
Like I think maybe he's like saying there's going to be an explosion somewhere.
Oh, maybe. I didn't get that from this email. I mean,
Okay.
I got the vibe that Vin's not gonna write us anymore, which
Oh, he's done.
that's what I've got. That's what I gathered from this. Like, I mean, he's happy to be preserved in the podcast, but I think he's done with us, and I don't know. I don't know if that's you and Sandy's doing, or I don't know.
Maybe he ran out of money for stamps.
He might have, but hell,
What does a postcard stamp cost these days?
probably like $1.50.
Dang. In the good old days, you could just take a piece of like old number 2 pencil and just put an X and it would mail.
Back in my day.
Back in Daddy's day.
Back in Daddy's day. Well, guys, thank you for listening. I'm pretty happy with this episode, so I hope you guys like it. Jeff, do you have any final thoughts here?
It's okay to worry about the future, but don't let it take away your daily joy.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna leave it at that. I agree with that. I'm gonna leave it at that. But again, thank you for listening. This has been all of us here at Everything is Traumatic. I'm Tyler.
I'm Jeff.
And as always, please take care of yourself.